Let's start then. Thank you very much. First of all, thanks, Nicole. So I just had a chat with you, so I would like to share that stuff with me, what I have, like with you guys. You accepted, and unfortunately, I cannot travel. I couldn't travel. The reason was actually I thought to travel because I had a couple of customer visit as well in there. So. At the same times, I wanted to do that, but unfortunately, I couldn't do that because of I'm in a kind of a visa process, middle of the visa process in here. I don't have a visa right now, go anywhere. So that's why I proposed to have a remote. Yeah. Okay. Mm, I'll share my screen. Right. So the topic, the maybe, yeah, I'm pretty sure that it may be a very interesting for you guys because. It's not only about the React and the coding, but about to get some the domain knowledge, to understand some domain knowledge. Maybe I'm pretty sure most of you guys already aware of this domain, because without knowing this domain, I don't think people can do the development application right now these days, especially. So, but we can discuss in detail, and we'll have a question and answer session, and get to know about this topic. Yeah. So, and I'll move to that. Yeah. So I'm actually I'm Harsha. So I'm leading for the identity and access management team in US and LATAM. And so I'll tell a small few words about the WSO in our company. WSO is a middleware company. We are 100% open source company. We have a couple of products, that API management, the identity and access management, and the integrations. So we have covered a platform. So it's 100% open source. You can get all the product and source code in the GitHub, and you can put in the production. No any other licensing. It's open. So we are almost more than 1,000 employees in the company, and plus 1,000 plus customers. So we are in more than 90 countries right now. Yeah. So, and we have open source product, on-premise product, as well as the SaaS platform for all these areas, right? Okay. So right, what we cover here, mastering secure app login for the React application. So it's simply, if I go for the directly this, first of all, I'll share the GitHub URL. Then so I think this GitHub I'll put into the chat. This has this slide deck as well in the GitHub location. You can access the sample project, and the slide deck and everything will be there in this GitHub project. I put into the chat. Right. So let's focus to the topic. So basically, what we're talking about here, the login, the basic, login experience for the application. What exactly the login experience? And basically, when you develop the applications, let's say that maybe it may be React, or maybe the WordPress, or whatever the application development language or framework that you use. And when you develop the web applications, or maybe a mobile application, so that application maybe that you have to manage some area that you need to secure, like to control the access for some areas based on the logged in user. Yeah, it is in this repo. Yeah. So, and then that you need to log in, and you need to secure some area in this application that you based on the logged in users role and things, right? The permission. So what you have to do, so I have a list down here. So if such use case that it comes to your application that you are developing, most of the application developers, I'm not saying everyone, but most of the application developers who doesn't have the domain knowledge on this identity and access management area, and having such a product, separate product and protocol, and so what are the difficulties and all these things, without knowing these things, people directly jump to the application development. So what they exactly cover when they develop this basic login, as I mentioned in here, they have to store. First of all, they have to think how to implement this user information and the credential, right, in the database. and then they have to think about the role and how to create the user and how to assign the role and the user role management and everything. End of the day, it's kind of a user management in your application, right? And then how to manage the authentication and prepare the login screen and manage the login experience and validate the credential. And once it logged into the system, then you have to manage the session, and throughout the application you have to manage the session expiry, and when the user wants to log out, you have to validate the logout request and invalidate all the session. And again, like based on the given role that you have to manage the user the application access for the areas that you need. And again, where exactly you store these, like let's say that you need to logged into the application and get some token in order to access set of resources that you have hosted in somewhere. So then you need to when you access that backend APIs, that backend resources, you need to pass that token that you retrieve from your what you call like that the component that you implement in order to log in, that you get the access token and you pass to the backend resource. You have to pass it. So but you have to end of the day maintain that access token in somewhere. I'm talking about mostly the single page application, which is very popular these days, right? Then you have to keep it somewhere in the browser. Then you have to handle and take care of those things, right? And if this is React, not only React, whatever application that you have to manage all the subroutings, which one that you need to make it secure, which one that you can open, and how you do that in a general way, that you have to think about that, how you should implement that, right? So then and again, handling, I have mentioned here the handling the application errors, especially why we are more concerned on this, because you are working with the user information, right, which is very important. And you know that these days there are so many regulations, GDPR and so many compliance, that you have to handle everything and be careful, and you have to handle the errors, and you have to carefully handle all those things, which means like you have to understand the complexity and implement everything within the application, right? That's how the people think when when someone say that your application need to have a login and please implement this in this application. But so it will not ended up from these features, like this use cases, if you once you come to this, once let's say that you have implemented this entire thing, then what I'm trying to show here, even though that you see that the login experience is but that's not right. It's kind of iceberg, because underneath there are so many things come behind. So that end of the day, if you implement that the basic login and user management thing in your application, so end of the day you have to implement everything within the application, right? You will end up with implementing not your business domain but something else, right? So your team has to more focus on like not only your business use case, but the identity and access management entire thing in your application, which is really, really hard, because there are so many challenges. You know all these things, I'm pretty sure, because day-to-day application that you use, you experience these use cases, basically federated login, single sign-on, and you know that when you have a user account, the account login, password reset. This is very day-to-day things, right, in the social network. So that's what happened when you will ended up with a lot of complexities. I'm talking about that part, not this basic the login and user management thing, because this is anyway anyone can implement easily, but this is a bit challenging, I'm pretty sure, because right, I'm not saying that technically it's not possible. It's definitely possible, but it's a bit hassle for the application developer, because they can't focus on their business application. I have listed down all the key features that comes with this identity product. So identity domain that you need to not the product, actually identity domain that you need to implement within your application, right? So single sign-on that and I'll repeat that if someone knows, like not knowing that single sign-on that you need to implement. Let's say in your business you have one application, and that you have logged in in the same business, you have another portal. Maybe you have to implement the login experience in the other portal as well, right? But single sign-on, it helps. Like once you log into the one application, you don't need to log into the other application, automatically logged in, right? So then multi-factor authentication. So in some cases, you may have to step up the authentication and make it more stronger and having multi-factors, right? So multi-login option, either login from your existing user, local user, or maybe from the social login. That's an option, right? So multi-attribute, maybe you can login using your email, or maybe using your the other one of maybe phone number. You have a multiple option, also multiple attribute that you can log in. Likewise, then the passwordless authentication. Let's say that you want to implement it, right? Pass keys, maybe fingerprint, or maybe so face recognitions, SMS, email, OTPs, kind of the latest things, right? So likewise, I have listed down everything here, and then at finally audit trails. So like end of the day, once you implement everything, let's say that you are going to implement in your application, but it's not ended up with that as well, but because having a lot of things in the application, and the user base get growing more and more. So then the business leaders, they need like more audit on this, and the reporting, and and then you need to scale the systems. Not only that, based on the business need, but the users growing, and then you need to think about how to scale the system, right? So because of you have implemented everything together. So so this is what happened basically when you implement the application in your site. So that is why we are talking about this identity and access management thing. So once we come to that, so basically now you have to decide whether you implement everything within your application, or you delegate that to a different identity product, and you delegate that to a different identity product and communicate with that identity product, and you only focus for your business domain. That's what I have mentioned here. So you delegate to the third-party identity product, and you focused on your business application, right? So up to now, do you have any question? Like, just let me know. Yeah. Okay. So I'll discuss about the identity. Why identity and access management thing? Like I have mentioned here the lot of the products available in the industry. So like maybe you already know this product, Ping Identity, Auth0, Okta. So I have mentioned the WSO2 as well. WSO2 Asgardeo is SaaS platform, and WSO2 open source. This is like you can download it and using anywhere. So in here, out of this, like Keycloak and the WSO2 only the open source, so that you can download and use in the production without paying anything. All the other products are proprietary that you have to pay from the for the usage, and in SaaS platform or download. So yeah, so when we talk about the identity product, right? So how you delegate that to all the responsibility to the external identity product, and what is this communication? Your React application in one machine, maybe the identity product in another machine. How you communicate each together, right? So then you have to follow the standard protocol. So maybe you already know this OAuth to OpenID Connect, OIDC. That is the standard protocol right now we have. That all these products are following the same protocol. There are no any proprietary specific protocol. If your application integrate with let's say that ForgeRock, you can switch to any other product without changing anything. Just to like endpoint, you have to change. So all the products should work as same as just following the same protocol, right? So that's why these are public specification and protocols. So and there were like more protocols, SAML and the Kerberos came from very long time back, but those are also using most of the product, but a bit deprecating. And LDAP that we directly using, maybe already using. Scheme also kind of a protocol that we do the user management from the external application to the identity product. Mainly we are talking about the OAuth2 and OpenID Connect, right? So I'll go fast these things, and we'll directly jump to the React part. So I need to explain a little bit more about this OpenID Connect specification, because how it communicate with the identity product. Basically, you can see that user. I'll just go through this flow. The user is here, that application that you develop here, the React application, right? And the identity server here, you can see the what happened when the user, let's say that your application already integrated with the identity server. the user comes to the application and click on the login button in the application itself, right? Once it click on the login button, we redirect that login request to the identity provider. Identity provider will prompt a login screen to the user, right? Because a client application, what it does, it redirect to the client identity provider that login request by following the standard protocol. You can see that authorization request. So it follow the standard protocol. There are a couple of standard specification, like you have to follow the relevant URL, specific URL pattern and all the parameters. You know what response and where it redirect, and everything that that has written like in the specification. You have to follow and understand the specifications, right? And you redirect to this identity provider, and identity provider will prompt the user login screen. User will prompt the credential to that user login screen and submit. That submit directly go to the identity provider, not the application. Identity provider will authenticate that credential against the user user database that it managed identity provider itself. Once it successfully authenticate, it redirect back to the client application, and with the access token, and based on the specification, it redirect back with the ID token. I'll explain these things when it comes. So this is actually come with the specification. It redirect back to the client application. Now client application, as I mentioned earlier, now has an access token. If it needs to access the backend resources, let's say that there are so many backend APIs that it need to access, then it access that backend API as usual by putting the access token into the header, and the backend resource server will validate that access token with the identity server. And if it is valid access token, it respond the required response with that response call, and do the like populate the required data to the user. So that's the basic flow, right? But in order to do this, what happened, you need to like understand the specification in detail, right? That's the challenging part here. But most of the enterprise scale, the application developer has to follow anyway, because they have to anyway follow. They can't manage the users in their application for sure 100%. So more 99% enterprise applications, they need to integrate with the identity provider, right? So I have like added like in detail this flow. I'll not go follow on that. So why I'm talking about this SDK here, so that the Asgardeo that the WSO provide, and the Auth0, they also provide the same kind of SDK. You can follow that SDK because it's same, nothing difference. I'm using here React SDK. So this SDK, what it does actually, it simplify that the communication channel and the user experience, right? You don't need to know anything about the specification. What you have to do, install that SDK to your React application, and I'll show you with the sample, and writing a couple of lines in your code and make it integrate your application with the identity provider and delegate everything to the identity provider. You don't care about anything. Once the application authenticate from the identity provider, it retrieve the relevant access token, or maybe it's a different way that you have to manage it. So I'll explain. So you don't know anything about the specification. You don't have to worry about that. It handled by this SDK, right? That is the important here that I'm going to present, like how you can easily integrate with the SDK with your application, and how you connect with whatever identity provider. That if it is open source, you can download it and connect with your application. You can try out that scenarios, right? Up to now, if you have any questions, so then I can, before we jump to the try this sample, I can. All good? Okay. So then let's try this. Yeah, I'll get the.
Oh, we have one question here.
Go ahead.
Okay. This isn't React Native. Oh, I see here.
It's a React. Yeah.
Not React Native. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Right. So I'll open up the quick start guide. That's that quick start guide. So yeah. So first of all, I'll start it from the scratch. First of all, we'll create a simple with project. I'll start it from the scratch, like Asgardeo sample. Yep. now. So then we'll here. I just create a bit project. Right. Let's open it in the tool. You guys can see the screen, right? Let's see that the code, it's visible to you. Do I need to?
Yeah, if you could make it a little bit bigger.
Okay, sure.
Maybe Command plus it usually works. So, oh yeah, to zoom in here.
Yeah.
A bit. Oh, yeah,
Enough?
that's great.
Okay,
Perfect.
Yep. So then let's start from here. First of all, let's see. Let's make sure that it's working fine. Yep, it's working. Now let's go to the. I'll take the startup quick start guide as well here. So you also can follow this. I have put that link here. You can get it. So in here, let's first of all we'll install the SDK. The React Asgardeo SDK. So then so I'll explain this how it does. So basically we have implemented a component that you need to wrap up your entire root application and using this auth provider, and we need to configure the auth provider. I'll go through all these parameters. Let's create this. Yeah. Let's get to copy this. It's easy.
Yeah, good point. If you could zoom in the browser a little bit also, that would be perfect.
Right.
It's a little bit small. I think, yeah. Oh, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yes. Right. So now you can see what I have done here. I'll explain that you know this React thing very well, but I'll go through. Yeah. So what I have done here, wrap up this the component this from this auth provider component and provided this configuration. This configuration I will explain where it related exactly. So, and first of all we need to import this provider component as well. All right. So I think I switch one step the other way. So we need to first of all actually create the application in the identity server. So I'll explain that part. So right now we have a sample application started here, and we need to connect, and basically we need to have that login capability to this application. Basically we need to give the user login experience, and based on the logged in user's role we need to manage the application, and based on the given access token we need to access the backend resources, and those things we need to do without implementing much more thing in this application, right? So in order to do that we need to connect this application with the identity server, identity provider. So first of all we'll get an identity provider console, one of us. So I'll get the Asgardeo that we have here. First of all, I'll log into the identity provider. You can download the Keycloak or WSO2, whatever. And the same, all the product actually, if you log into all these product, you can see the same experience. Like, maybe the wordings may be changed, the user experience may be changed, but end of the day, the same thing, every application, every identity providers are doing. Some identity providers, they have some extended capabilities and the flexibility, writing extension, and there are so many things when it comes to the enterprise scale. But for the basic application login and the stuff, it's almost same all these application, right? So identity providers, sorry. Yeah, so I'll log into the, let's say, I have so many account here. Okay. We'll log into the identity provider. So this is the Asgardeo. This is SaaS solution actually. So the W0 provide, but you can download the key clock code W0 identity server down. Let's say from W0 actually, if you download the open source version, the same experience that you can get. The key clock also the kind of same. Some wordings are a bit different. So once you come to the management console of the identity, the product identity manager console. So in W0 and most of the identity providers, they are managing multiple tenants. Like for the different like the organization, they can have their own tenant. Most of the identity product, but W0 identity server, we have a separate concept called organization. So in a single business, let's say that one business, they want to have this identity solution to integrate with their application. If they have a multiple department, so kind of, then they can have a multiple organization. They create an organization. I have created this Harsha React demo kind of organization, and once you select that organization, you will have all these capabilities, isolated capabilities. If you have another organization, you can create it and switch to there. Then all these capabilities will be there in isolated way, right? So there are some shared things. That's a different use cases. For the basic use cases, it's not like that. So let's go to the applications. What exactly it does? So that the application means, so right now we create that Weed project, Weed application. That application you have to register in this management console. What we call it, that this application we register here, right? We create the application. We come to here, create a new application. Let's say based on the nature of the application, we can select. This is also like different capabilities that different identity providers provide. So we have provided a couple of different capabilities. The single page application, let's say that you select it and you just give a name. Let's sample Canada demo, right? So then we are giving this authorized redirect URL. I'll explain that part. When you when your application communicate with the identity provider, as I explained that in the slide deck, when you click on the login button in your client application, it should redirect to the identity server, right? But when you redirect to the identity server, the client application should know where the exactly identity server is, right? So in that case, we provide that URL here. So whereas the exactly identity provider with that organization name, right? So then when you click the login button, this application will redirect to the relevant identity provider. But once you come to the identity provider and you finish your login authentication part, now you have to redirect back to the client application. Then the identity provider should know where it should redirect back. So in that case, we have to provide the redirect URL that you need to redirect back to the client application here. In your case, you need to get the redirection back to this same endpoint that you started the server, right? Let's assume maybe it can be different URL based on the application. I just use the same endpoint. So once you provide the redirect URL and just a name, and you create the application. That's all about that. You register the application, right? Now, once you register the application, you can see there are a set of configuration. Now, there's that protocol section, all the product that it has, because in here, it's OpenID Connect, right? We are communicating with the identity provider, as I mentioned in the slide deck. Based on the specification, there is that each and every identity provider, based on the OpenID Connect specification, it generates this client ID, right? Why this client ID comes to the picture? So when this application redirect to the given identity provider URL, this application has to pass the unique ID along with this request, because unless this identity provider cannot identify that application, because there can be a lot of application register to serve this capability to the other application as well. So uniquely identify that application. This identity provider generate this client ID. It's a unique ID for each application, and we need to get this unique ID and copy into this configuration section. So now you are clear, right? Where you should redirect, how you can uniquely identify in the identity provider, right? In the SaaS solution, SaaS platform, you have to uniquely identify it, right? So now you and again, like we have to provide the organization name as well in here, your organization name. Then it can be easily identified in which organization and which application, right? Which identity provider, which organization, and which application, right? So this is the sign in and sign out redirect URL that we have provided into this configuration, because these parameters also it pass along with this URL to verify whether it comes with the same client application. And there are some additional features that you can basically, let's say that your client application, click on the login button, it redirect to the identity provider prompt the login screen and provide the credential. Once it authenticate, maybe there are some use cases for some organization, it should redirect to a different application. The login request initiate from the one application, but once it authenticate, it goes back to the different application based on the based on the given redirect URL. So that kind of requirements are there, and it's provided that capability from the specification level. So that's why it passed the sign-in redirect URL as well. But end of the day, so we have configured properly right now the client application, and we have registered that client application properly here. We have done everything. So yeah, so now what we can do, let's go to the quick start guide. So we have covered the first step. We configure and register the application in the identity provider, and then we create a simple Vite application and install the Asgardeo SDK, and we import the auth provider component and apply that into the main JSX by covering this root application, and provide that required configuration. As I mentioned, the scope, I'll explain it later. So there can be a lot of other configuration as well. And once we complete that, now we have to, let's say that now we will start it, but it doesn't do anything. Okay. Right. So even though you start it, nothing happened. It's just the pages that we haven't done anything. So we only covered the app with this auth provider component, right? So now we have to have a kind of a login button introduced to here, and communicate with that auth provider component in order to initiate the authorized request, right? So I'll go through that quick start guide itself. It will make it easier. So you can see that we just introduced these two buttons, sign out, sign in, and I'll explain that what it does exactly. So you can see use auth context, this hook that we have introduced from our Asgardeo SDK, that you need to connect this page with this hook, and this hook provide the state object and this the function that you can trigger from your application, right? So in the state object, I'll again jump to the SDK detail that available in the NPM registry. So you can follow this actually to understand all the detail of this SDK. So and here in this app JSX, what we have done here, the state object, right? The state object, what it does exactly in this hook, it provides that state object to access the authentication state and all the available the variables, basically user information, logged in user information, authentication state, and everything, right? So you can get those details from let's go to the API documentation, detail API documentation here. If you go to the state object, you can see these are the attribute available in this state object. You can check the authentication state, the logged in user information, likewise.
Could you zoom in a little bit? It's a bit hard to read.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, it doesn't persist the zoom mic thing. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so I think this also okay. Okay, this also may be not clear. Okay. Right, this one okay, this one okay. Okay, so this is the detailed documentation about the object and function. Okay, so right, and let's jump to the quick start guide, and you can see here the state. We check whether it's authenticated or not, and based on that, if it's authenticated, that it already authenticated state object is there, then we prompt only the sign out capability, logout capability. If not, we provide the login capability. That's what we have done here. So I'll copy this into the objects somewhere. Let's jump to here. Okay, and we'll copy this hook and the import. All right, so what we have done here, we have put these two buttons and check the state, whether it's authenticated or not, and based on that we prompt this, right? So now we start it, and once we go to the Meet application, you can see the login button, right? That's all about we have to do to connect with the identity provider. Let's click on the login button. It will redirect. You can see that account Asgardeo IO. It redirect to the identity provider. So now we are in the identity provider itself, and let's provide the one of a user's credential that available in that organization. And once you sign in, it will redirect back to the application. You can see it shows that logout button. So now it has done everything that login logout thing based on the given credentials that is stored in the identity provider, right? So you have nothing, you have done nothing in the application side. You just connected with the identity provider by just using this SDK directly, right? So up to now, if you have any question, I can answer. Is it clear? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that
Sorry. We have two questions. One from the chat first. I'm gonna read it. How do you create users in an organization?
Okay. Yeah, I'll show you. So if you go to this is actually available for all the identity providers, basically the user management section. So here you can see this user management. You can go to the users section. You can create the users and give the email and first name, last name, and either you can provide the email and you can invite through the email, and then the user will get the email, and the user can come to the link and set his password, or maybe we can set the password from here and create the user. So that's possible. And not only the users, but you can create the roles and groups as well. You can create the groups and you can put the users to the group, and you can create a role and you can assign to the group, and you can manage that group roles with the users. Simply that user management you can do within any identity product, which is very, very straightforward.
Great. And the second question, oh wait, there are more questions. I'm going to read them in order. So Charles Eric was asking, can you have your identity provider in a pop-up model, or is this not a preferred way for doing the...
Okay, you're asking about like without redirecting into the identity provider, right? I think
from a model. Yes. I think
yeah. So that is possible definitely, because that's another requirement. Because I'll show you that part, not the implementing, but I'll show you like where it exactly fit for the protocols. Basically, in here we are following the authorization code protocol that we need to definitely delegate the login experience to the identity server, right? So when we communicating with the identity provider, I explained that we are following the OpenID Connect auth to the specification, right? That specification itself, it has the multiple protocol that you can multiple grant type, not the protocol, same protocol, OIDC, OpenID Connect protocol that has multiple grant type. We call it based on the specification. Like here, we follow the authorization code grant type kind of, but there are multiple protocols that you can follow, especially that for the UI use case, we have another grant type called password grant type, right? How the password grant type work, how password grant type work. If you go for that, like basically I'll show you. So what happened, you don't redirect anything. Let's say, yeah, let's get this one. So what happened here, user try to connect to the login client application do a back channel crawl by passing the required information, that the unique ID that I showed you, and in addition to that, it generates another secret from that because of this grant type, client ID, client secret, and the username and password that you prompt in your login screen, and you collected all this information you have to pass in the back channel to the identity provider and get the authenticated token and the access token, ID token and access token. The same response that you will receive, but it's a back channel API call that you need to do by following the another grant type under the OpenID Connect.
That's too much. Oh, sorry.
It's related to this?
No, I was just sorry. Yeah, I like. Is there like no component provided by like the library itself? Because I thought it was an SDK, but like I feel like that's a lot of work just for doing that.
Exactly, you are correct. Because especially we have developed this React SDK for the single page application, right? The single page application mostly did delegate to the most of the application actually delegate to that the identity providers. This SDK actually doesn't provide that capability to follow this grant type, other grant type. Only we provide this code grant type. You need to manage this because this is single API call, because this doesn't have like multiple back and forth and manage other things. This is just a single API call that you need to do and get the response. It's just a calling your backend response, same way, right? Backend resource. There is not big deal like calling this API like the same way that we did for the code grant type. Code grant type, you have a lot of things to do because you don't see that when you integrate the SDK. Because of you integrating the SDK, underneath it redirect to the identity provider read back to with the code and do the back channel API call and get the access token. There are a couple of API calls by following the specification and keep it more secure. So that happened. But the password grant type in future, I'm pretty it's going to be deprecated because this is not very popular thing, because this has some security vulnerabilities, because your credential will pass through the wire. So that is why this is going to be deprecated, this grant type password. But so in your case, the Asgardeo, you can see that I'll provide more detail through the maybe Nicholas. Do we have any other channel that I can share the like post in this information like after the event
Yeah, sure. I will include it. So the talk will be published on YouTube, and we can include more links in the description. No worries. So can provide more content for afterward.
Exactly. Okay. So that the based on your request, there is that the app native authentication. This is like API based authentication. I'll provide that detail. So this is possible that you can use directly call the APIs. We have given all the details to how to call the APIs and authenticate, because this is not exposed like by following the standard grant type kind of, because I was talking about the special standard grant type. Here it's a not specific grant type, but this is kind of API calls that you can authenticate. This app native authentication, it available in all the other product as well. So this is possible. You can directly call the API and do the back channel authentication.
But I imagine if you're calling the API, you need to make sure that your call to the API is secure 100%, because you don't want any leak in your system between your call and the API.
Exactly, because identity provider doesn't have any control. You can see, right? Because you're passing your credential through the wire, right? So that's why like mostly they delegate to the identity provider domain. So having a separate dedicated product, but yeah, that is happened. That mobile application, we do this, right? We prompt login screen, we do this. We have to do this some cases, and So I'll provide more detail on with the as a comment in the YouTube video. So I'll provide more detail on that. Yes, we'll focus on that. Any question? Any?
One last question
Yeah.
that is related to creating users in the organization. So follow-up question was, do you also have an API to do that programmatically, like from code?
Exactly. You can do like whatever you do from the management console. We provide most of the APIs that you can create all these things. Yes. Yeah. So and more flexibility will be there when you use the on-prem product, the open source product. There are so many things happen because it's under your control. But when it comes to SaaS, we have to follow the regulations. There are some limitations that you can see in the documentation, which is obvious because as a SaaS platform. But when it comes to the open source on-premise version, it's very open. Like you can control everything, right? So any other question in the list? Okay. So right. So that's what we did here. So now I would like to go in deep a couple of steps, because we were talking about not just a login experience, right? We were talking about there are so many other factors. I mean, other extended capabilities that you need to implement. So I would like to go through that capabilities in the identity product. Any identity product has these capabilities. You can experience it from anywhere. So I'll go through this how normally it does with the application. Let's say that your application, you need to let's say you need to have a the Google login, the social login as a multi option, like either like from the local login user or maybe a Google social login, right? So in your application, you don't want to do anything. So what you have to do, you have to go to the identity server, identity provider, and go to that application. That application definitely would have in any identity provider the login flow, how to configure the login flow, right? So it depends on the different product how it configure. Some product I have seen that they have given like nice UIs to like connect here and there, and some product has given like script to write in the product and manage it in a very flexible way. In this Asgardeo product, we have a couple of capabilities. Like you can see this the UI, that the tool editor, you can add another option here. So this is a kind of a login screen. Then you can have another option to here. Once it comes to the option, you can see that because I have created the Google, I have already created the Google connection in this identity provider domain organization. So I can add this Google as the another option, right? I can select it and add it, right? Now you can see the either login from the local credential or maybe with the Google. I'll update this, and that's all about. If you go to the React Vite application, once you click on the login button, you can see either the credential or the Google, right? Once you click on the Google, it will redirect to the Google. Let's say that I use this one. It will authenticate from that user. You can see, right? So to make sure that user is logged in and whether it's the same user, I think Quick Start Guide, it has that provided. Yeah, this state object has this the username as well. We'll put that. Then you can see. Let's put it here, and let's log in. Okay, what happened? State username. I think it's not applied. So username should print. Let's try to log in using local user. Yeah, I think when okay. So I think so when you log in from the social login, what happened? So the social login, what happened when you click on this? It redirect to the Google, and when we provide the credential to the Google, it redirect back to the identity server. Once it authenticate, it redirect back to the identity server, identity provider. And identity provider, when it comes to identity provider, it bring all the user information from Google to identity provider, this middle identity provider, and it bring all the user attributes. So we need to map the right user attribute with this identity provider user attribute, because the username, we mean username maybe email, but the Google you meant by username something else. Maybe they don't have that username, maybe something user ID or something. So such a cases, when we delegate that to the different identity provider, we have to map it correctly, and then only we can read it from the application, right? So different identity providers provide their attributes in different way. We have to get their response and read it and map it correctly. So that's what happened. So basically, that's how the social multi-option login works. And let's see how we can connect another multi-factor. Let's say that we need to connect email OTP as the second factor. We can click on this and add another option. Let's connect with the email OTP. Edit here. You can see now the second factor would be email OTP, right? Now we updated. Let's try that. Click on the login button, click on this, and it comes to OTP, email verification. We can see that there should be that email. Yeah, this one. Can get this email, and this one. We provide the OTP and continue, right? So you can see that it log into the application, right? Basically, we can easily configure those things, like multi-factor or multi-option, whatever. Maybe like, let's say that you need to configure the passwordless authentication. Let's configure. I'm not sure whether I configure it. Passkey. Let's see. Okay. And we'll delete this multi-option. Okay. Just click on the login button, and you can see the the passkey option. Once you click on that, it will ask me the fingerprint. I give my fingerprint to the laptop. It automatically logged in. Right, so you don't implement anything in your application side. You just come to the identity provider and configure everything. That's it, right? So likewise, you have a lot of options here, and you can manage everything. And again, like this identity provider has provided like a bit more flexible way to manage it. So like you can manage it by just writing JavaScript, because this product has given the JavaScript console by having the Rhino engine underneath. Like you can write the JavaScript and manage the authentication flow itself. It has like we have given the specification, like you can write it there, and you can manage the authentication steps and conditions and so many things, right? So yeah, those are the basic stuff, but there are so many things. But I'll just go through the basic stuff. So do you have any question around this? Yeah. Yeah, so exactly, it's really easy that you can manage those things. What else I can share with you here? Yeah, so a couple of more capabilities that you definitely would expect from any identity provider. So let's say that you have come to here that with React application, that you have your own theme, right? Once you click on the login button, you could see that Asgardeo kind of. You don't need this, right? Because you don't want to show that this kind of the different branding or different theming for your application. You have to be in the same theme and your own organization details, right? When you come to this SaaS platform, you can go to the branding section, and you can brand the login experience, right? You can come to here and you can change everything here, basically the layout, and you can have a custom layout, and you can change the logos and the wordings, and you can have your own color theme. And let me show you design. Yeah, in this design section, you can see the images, color palettes, footer, font, everything you can change from the management console, and you can have your own theme. And not only that, you saw that there was that email that we received when you send the email OTP, that this email also you can see that brand with the Asgardeo, but you don't need those things. You can have your own brand. You can go to the email templates. We just, yeah.
A small fast question. Can you write your design in code and style it with Tailwind or any other framework like that? Or
In the SaaS platform, you're asking the branding from your own code.
yeah,
Yeah, in the SaaS platform, it's limited, but based keeping in limited control, you can do that, because under the premium premium customers, we have provided such a capability. You can upload any pack. Yeah, but in the on-premise version, like software version that you download, the open source version, you can do whatever.
cool.
Yeah, it's like very easy that you can customize everything. So but it's obvious when it comes to SaaS platform to provide everything, there are some sort of limitation. Yes. So and one question, you do hash password, but do you hash fingerprint? How do you reconcile it? It's actually hash fingerprint.
Yeah, it's my question. I was wondering, like, you just had a few minutes ago fingerprint recognitions, and somewhere in your process you need to compare these fingerprints with the fingerprints you are sending to the server. I just maybe a stupid question, but is your fingerprint hash in any way, or you're storing like the image, or like, you know how this recognition is?
Yeah,
Other.
as per my understanding, it's the kind of a blob object that we stored, but I need to verify that whether, like, the hashing thing, I'm pretty sure that, because I don't know that part, to be honest. I need to check that.
Right.
Password anyway hashing, yes. Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't think about, but definitely the product team will store it, because in the SaaS platform, definitely it will store in a secured way. Pretty sure that, because the hashing thing with the salt that we stored, the password for sure. Yeah, if this is, I think definitely they will do. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll definitely put that in the YouTube video, that information, because
Perfect. Thanks.
I also haven't thought about that much on that detail. Yeah, you're correct. So yes, and that email template I was talking about, like that you receive like all these email template that you already know, because you have received all these email when you connect and having a user account in different platform. So all these email template that we use to send the email throughout this the authentication journey, that you can brand accordingly to your own theme, right? So that's the email template and the branding thing. And what else that yeah, so so all the like social accounts that you can connect from here, the Google and other stuff. And if you go for this Microsoft, Facebook, whatever, GitHub, all these connectors are there. Then most of the connectors are being developed and put into the SaaS platform. And in the on-premise version, we have a separate connector store that you can download a lot of connectors. Yeah. So any question around this?
I do have one question for you.
Okay.
What, like, I currently, like, where I work, we're using Supabase, and I see a lot of things that are similar or like quite the same thing as there. And what does like your platform provide more than what I would be using with Supabase?
Okay, so I haven't compared that, but it's different. Like, I mean, most of the product you're talking about, like, that identity product, other product as well, right?
Yeah, because like I can like view the source code of the backend and like self-host it. I can upload file and I can do the login. I can, like, there's a lot of things that you can do like on both platform. And I'm like, what's the selling point of like going on the free part of your platform versus like doing that with like your platform?
Okay, so basically, as I said, like I haven't compared the feature level. So basically, the specialty of the Asgardeo and the on-premise version of the W0 identity server. So this SaaS platform that we have, have, as you said, like doing all the bridging thing, like identity, the identity bridging thing with all the federated social accounts and all the enterprise level like SAML and Azure, all these things. That bridging thing we are doing here. And in addition to that, the branding thing is another special thing that we have provided. As I remember, I haven't seen such in most of the other identity providers, the branding thing. And the other thing is that B2B thing. So that having one tenant, one business, you could have multiple the organization, right? So when you, let's say that you have your own SaaS platform, SaaS application. Basically, let's say that you are managing, let's say that you are the kind of a SaaS platform provider for the pet care, right? You have a set of application that provide the pet care service. You are kind of a SaaS platform. You are not doing a pet care business. You are the having that SaaS platform. To that SaaS platform, you need to have an identity provider. In such cases, you can come to this SaaS platform, identity platform, and you can get the one tenant space, and you can register all the application, and then you provide the SaaS login to the SaaS platform, and all the other let's say that your SaaS pet platform provide to the different pet organization, pet care organization, what we call like the pet care service organization. They need to have a separate they have a separate organization. Every organization would have different capabilities. Maybe they will come to you and ask register there. So then they can register here and a separate organization. And you have provided the SaaS you have provided the SaaS application, and you can you can onboard those application to a different selected organization with the different login flows. Some some organization need a different login flows and some capabilities. And likewise, you can control that your SaaS platform with across the organization by using this identity platform, because of this providing this B2B capability in the identity provider. So that's a specialty, and I don't think all the identity provider provide that B2B capability yet. Some of them are doing, and I'm not sure the one that you mentioned has that capability, the B2B thing.
Oh. Yeah, so like you're saying that I could be doing Supabase with Keycloak, and I would be doing the same thing as
Exactly.
Asgardeo.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it's plus minus that eventing and the logging capabilities, and the easily connecting the external parties that you can write as I mentioned in the applications here. You can write and configure and control your login for by just writing JavaScript like this. So it's a very flexible here to be let's say that let's say if you want to block the application access based on the IP range, or maybe the region, you can write the things here and control everything, because you have access to the request headers here. You can manage everything, the authentication flows, control it, right? So
But
likewise,
would you not want to have that like somewhere that is version control, that so in the future that can be reverted back to something? Because like I see here, it's like just live in an editor, right?
yeah. So say it again. I didn't get your question.
Like I feel like having something like code in an editor in a platform is something that can fail, and that if you want to revert back, is not great. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is not version controlled, right?
No, we don't have version control here. Yeah. Yeah, that's the important thing. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah. Then you need to manage the whatever thing that you have in repo and yeah, you're correct. Yeah. So that's again like the developer experience. You're correct. Yeah. And those are the like key thing. And but when you compare with that open source version, it's really big difference with others, because the WSO open source version has a lot of the extensibility. Basically, you can let's say that you want to write your custom authenticator, custom grant type, custom flows, custom users to management. I mean, you can do like so many custom thing with the open source version. That is like the product has developed in Java, and very well documented with all the extension and the sample and so many articles and there. So because we are that almost 20 years in this industry, so this product, so it's mostly developed with a lot of the capabilities around the product. And the open source version is really flexible to do a lot of things. It's really hard to give such a flexibility in the SaaS platform, which is obvious. Yeah, those things. Yeah, any other question?
Is like when you say the open source version, is it like I tried to find it on GitHub, but it doesn't seems like it's there. Is it like it's source available that you need to provide something, or am I crazy?
You can just download it from the WSO.com itself and GitHub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like source available, but it's like also on GitHub, so you can actually browse the code for it. Correct?
Exactly. You can get everything from there, and you can download it from here. So if you go to the identity management here, you can download from the here. This one, you can download the product zip here, and the Docker registry also there. WSO Docker.
Actually, there was actually the link for the GitHub. I just seen it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you can download the WSO2. This is API manager. So that identity server. Yeah. You can have the WSO2 Docker image from here. So and the on-prem version from here, and different installer as well. Yes. You can download it from here. GitHub, you can you have a source code there, and I think in the GitHub you can download the distribution as well, as I remember. GitHub product. Yes. The tag 70. Let's go for that. Yeah, it was there. It is there, I think. Sorry, I haven't tried this. Yeah, it is there. You can download the product here and the source code as well. You got it, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I saw it.
So any other question? That we have covered most of things, but I would like to go dig deep that I think Nicholas, we have a time, right?
Yeah, if we could wrap up in the next 5 minutes, that would be great. But
yeah,
the questions were super interesting. I don't feel bad about that.
Okay. So yeah, so I'll just then go through this sample. Sorry, not this one. Where's the GitHub link? Okay. Here I have provided another. This repo has another branch. The SDK integration. So this branch has that bit complicated, like, not the complicated, but implement everything, all the capability that it has. But I would like to tell one more thing, like this, what the specialty of this SDK. So one key thing that maybe you already have used that the what we call like web worker thread. Maybe when you develop the web application, the front-end application, so you can see that when you log in the application, we have stored the key, the token, ID token, and the access token in the session storage. You could see that, right? So that, but this SDK actually provide different capability for that, not to store there, but store in like let me go to that code, and this has implemented everything. The web worker, you can mention that where you want to exactly store this access token and the stuff. Go to this configuration, right? Let's stop this and start. What happened? clear this. And once you log in, you can see in the session storage, you can't see the access token, right? What happened? It's stored in the web worker thread. No one can access, even though that if because of any malicious code in your web application, someone can phishing attack can get the session storage access and pass it to a different endpoint in case. So you could lose your access token, and maybe there's kind of vulnerability. So that once you have this, once you store this sensitive information in the web worker thread, so then you will be a bit safe. I'm not saying that it's 100% safe, because JavaScript and the browser never 100% safe, but it can be more secure than we store in the session storage. Now you can't see that. So in the web worker thread, what happened when you want to use it, why you want to use it, when you want to use it to access the backend resources, how it works. So basically, in this SDK we have provided, if any case, if you want to, in this React application, want to access the backend resources, you have to mention what is that backend endpoint, the root endpoints as a whitelisting endpoint. You have to define all the endpoints by putting a comma separated in this array, and put this line into this configuration section. Like this, right? So, and then what happened? Let's go to that application. Go to the page, the dashboard page. So I have accessed this backend code, and I have mentioned that when you access the backend, what happened? I have to say that to that the SDK attach the token. If it is true, then the web worker thread will get that access token from there and attach to the header. The main thread, the main application document cannot see the access token. Underneath it happened. So that makes secure that giving that access token to the main thread, handling it underneath. So that's a special capability that we have provided in this SDK to store the sensitive information in the web worker thread. So you can go through this. This has all the reading all the other the user information that comes with the response. Everything I have implemented. You can use it. You can create a Asgardeo account in the Asgardeo platform and create the organization and do the same stuff by following this quick start guide, and try out this sample. You can then see these capabilities. Yeah, I think we have almost covered it. We can go for a quick question section if there are any.
Any final question? Only one.
Okay.
No, I think we're good because we covered the questions during the presentation. Great. Thank you very much, Harsha, for that. That's also a lot of content and links, so we'll gather them and put them in the YouTube description, so anyone can find it back.
Yeah.
Also on Guildhost, there is you can review the talks that were made, and I will drop the links here.
Okay.
So thank you very much. I'm gonna stop the recording now.
Okay.